got his back.
The cowboy had my back.
Look, you better remember. When you walk out of here, you look more like one of us.
Don't forget where you come from.
Hey, but I got a passport in my back pocket.
You better make it. You better make it first. All right, y'all. So, and right before we went to break, Jet kind of just was giving her point of view. We had so much going on during break that I forgot who was supposed to follow up after that because I had to kind of put fires out and all that stuff.
I think it was
Cowboy. I think I started.
Okay, come on. What you got?
No, I think I finished when before we got into that big melee. That's the only way to describe it.
This dude right here threw us all off.
No, I did. They just don't want to hear statistics.
The white dude in the house.
I don't care about statistics because they can be.
That's the whole point.
Anybody can make statistics. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're a little smarter than that.
It makes people feel bad when they find out what their people are doing. It makes them look bad. I hate it when, as a white man, my people do shit that's bad all the time. Because what they'll do is they'll go to the most uneducated, dumbest person in the trailer park and interview the white guy about why Trump shouldn't be president. Why in the world are you interviewing that dude? I'm the same way.
No, that's not what we're saying.
Just make you look
we're
bad.
just saying statistics can only pull from a small number of people. It's only a certain amount of truth to a statistic.
On the topic of this evening. Are we talking about the topic?
Cowboys on
it is.
Okay.
When you even quote FBI statistics to people, and they don't want to hear it. They act like you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Nobody wants to hear.
I don't think that's it, Cowboy.
Nobody trusts FBI.
But I'm saying
we don't trust FBI.
We just don't want to hear because we don't know. It could be made up. I mean, you can
we've seen when you see it.
The FBI has been.
We've seen so many fraudulent.
Has been one of the most corrupt organizations.
You don't believe in the FBI. You don't believe in the government.
I didn't believe in it.
The system wasn't built for you. Man, how long are you surviving?
Good question.
Because we black. That's what we do. We don't die. We multiply. That's how we survive.
In spite of.
And even if this shit falls, it's still going to be black people on this planet. I'm sorry. Now that's time I curse.
All right, look. All right. No. Okay, hold on. Anybody other than me, Corey, everybody take a drink or whatever it is you got in front of you. And let's get back to the topic of dealing with, we're doing a follow-up from last week's show. Are we in a war? The black against the blue. So earlier in the conversation, it was no, we are actually, it's not black against the blue. It is staged to appear like it is black against the blue. Right. But now let's kind of address what we've seen, because this is what I wanted to say earlier about that topic is, my concern is I think it is very important what we've seen, the police that have been murdered within the last 2 weeks. I think it is very, very, very important. However, not any more important than the black lives that have died. And that's what I want to look at, because it seems like the world is shutting down to zone in and pay attention, as I think we give honor to where honor is due. These men and women have signed up for a job to protect us. So yes, it matters when they are murdered. It sure does matter. But it does not, that life is not any more valuable than the lives that are being taken at the hands of those that swore to protect. And I think that's where a lot of the uproar is. You know, I posted something earlier that said, I think I got it from my brother, I don't know. But anyway, Black Lives Matter. There are a lot of people who are angry or who don't like the statement, who, you know, there's a lot of controversy even around that statement. But black folks is mad that we have to say that Black Lives Matter. So while you don't like it, how insulting do you think it is for us to feel like we even have to say it? So let's just talk about that a little bit more.
But then we have to say Blue Lives Matter.
And I think blue lives do matter.
I mean, I think the whole...
Think about how bad we have to feel before
Wait,
we have to say
let
that.
him finish.
So,
Go ahead.
So technically, we have to feel insulted to tell the public that we matter.
But
Because
when did
like
we
we
get
s-
here?
Oh, within the last 5 years that it's been building.
Okay.
But like we said earlier, people don't think we're real. People see me in a uniform, and they don't think I have a family. It's just, I had a kid walk up to me one day, and I was sitting in Luby's eating, and he told his mother, "Mom, they really do eat the same things we do. They think we're robots."
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't think that.
But that
I don't think that's a reality. I don't think.
I know, but I'm just
most
saying,
people know you're real.
Yeah, but a lot of people feel like we don't.
Well, maybe if cops
then
were
again,
more real.
You act most cops.
Yeah, if
I was
cops
talking
were
to
more
somebody about
real.
the show last week, and I said one thing I learned about the show last week is cops think differently than regular people.
Yeah.
They think more robotic.
Let me tell you what.
No.
No, listen. Just
No.
It's
No.
me.
No.
Sweetest-
You can't.
It's the sweetest I can be.
Hold on, Corey,
You don't
because
know
she
sweet.
did. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lord. I didn't know I was going to get persecuted tonight.
You're not getting
I'm not even
persecuted.
talking to you right
Okay, so last week when we first started the show, you guys were saying suspects and all of.
You done use that term the whole night.
I know, but when I
Now he wants to throw it back at.
Oh my
but
God!
when I
Okay.
said I'm a grandmaster, but
The
y'all
two
said
police
yeah.
officers that are here today that were here last week were saying suspects and all of these different terms. And I said to y'all, you guys need to be human in this moment. So if y'all can't verbally communicate as regular humans do, how do you think people are going to perceive you? If your actions are not human, friendly, you know what I'm saying? How do you expect people to perceive you? So when I'm saying like the
Cowboy address this.
the communication,
Let Cowboy address
the communication that y'all have, that is also a sign or symbolic for being a robot or being
One of our
programmed.
listeners just typed in the majority of cops are robots.
Bam.
What are you?
That's a
What are you
given.
gonna say?
I don't act like I'm a robot.
Program.
Brick house.
Yeah, kind of you do.
I guess he-
Yeah, kind of you do.
Let me say
You
this.
do. Why do you say that? Why do you say he does?
Because he's standoffish. Is he standoffish?
No, he ain't robot.
Well, let me
I
say
mean,
this. Let
Go
me say
ahead.
this. Jet said last week that cops need to be more involved in the community, right? And that's how you keep from being a robot, because I think little children probably see cops as kind of standoffish, like superheroes, unrealistic beings. But if you are more active in the community, maybe when there's events going on, you can go and show off your cop car or whatever. I don't know. But you have to, I think that that's very necessary, what she said last week. You said that y'all don't really have the time, y'all have families and this, and that. But just like educators have to be community service, you know what I'm saying, workers.
Mhm.
We have to do all of these things as an educator, more than just educate. When you're in a position of service or humanitarian type positions, you have to do
Protect
more
and
than just
serve.
police.
And I addressed that last week when I said that, like, I think I told you, I've gone to Dunbar High School 4 or 5 times in the last year and a half with my smoker, cooked for the football team, baseball team,
Yes.
basketball team. And matter of fact, I'm doing it again next month. And that's out of my pocket, my own time with another buddy of mine. But like with Arlington PD, we have units that are designed to do that kind of stuff, to free up the patrol officers to answer calls. And most agencies I know have those kind of community-based type units. And also, when I was on patrol, periodically they would say, "Hey, look, don't answer calls today. You need to go to this community watch meeting, this community watch meeting." So it happens. Now, have I ever got out of my car and went and played basketball with somebody? No, I just haven't had time. But I've done a whole lot of other stuff, and there are a whole bunch of other guys that do the same thing. I know an officer right now is trying to put together a 500-person teen summit to address the same kind of things we're doing right now.
That's good.
That is good.
So people are trying. You might not see it, but I promise you, officers are trying to turn this thing around.
I also think that we need to start appealing to the media for, you know what I'm saying, a broader view of coverage. Because if they're just kind of narrowing or focusing on just one specific thing, then that's a disservice to us, period. So I think that we probably need to start appealing to the media for...
And like Corey said last week, he and I get emails all the time of shootings all over the United States involving black officers, white officers, that and other, and the majority of it does not get distributed on the media. Y'all will never know about it.
Am I allowed to speak again?
I guess
We
so.
guess so, yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's take a vote around the room.
I
Yes,
think-
yeah or nay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, Daryl. Buster. All right, here's what I think the police force should do is on the robotic side. Too many police officers are going to be like, well, how do you feel, and they get interviewed about the guy that got killed in Baton Rouge. See, the cops know his background. They know what the 911 call is. They're going to be like, oh, well, he didn't comply. I think what cops need to do is realize it doesn't matter if he complied or not. Another guy's dead.
Exactly.
That's all.
And
we
if
say.
they just say, dang, another guy's dead, and don't talk about his background or don't talk about how many times he's been to jail for selling weed, and they just focus on, dang it, man, another dude's dead. And for when
And
I
he
watch some
didn't
of those
have to
videos, I'm like, man,
He didn't have to be.
maybe if they just would have done this, dude wouldn't have died. And so I hate coaching from the armchair, but I think if cops will start doing that instead of going, oh, well, he did this. Well, he got killed because he was a thug. No, man, he was a guy. He died. Talk about that. Don't talk about his background. And I think if cops start doing that and stop being robotic about knowing their background, and like me and Rod know stuff y'all don't know. We have privy information y'all don't know. Quit using that and just look at it as a dude just got killed. What can we do to keep that from happening again? If you can't do that, if you can't say that, then your society and the people that you are there to protect and serve will never love you. They'll never embrace you, and you'll never able have a good relationship.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that you said that because I'm gonna get you right.
You will, shouldn't
Hold up, see, when you get back, you start cussing again.
I meant to say dang.
I'm glad that you said that because that is actually one of my personal biggest problems. Like, that's where the divide comes in because it's as if you made the victim
A victim instead of a criminal off the bat.
you demonized him. He's
Right.
already dead, and now you are just
Murdering his name.
his name, his
reputation.
reputation, his family. They have to hear about everything that he. And the truth of the matter is, none of that has anything to do with that incident right then, right at
Right.
that particular moment, and he gone.
Because
But the media gives people that information
Oh, they'll do it
because
instantly. They'll
we
do
don't
it
like he's saying we don't have that information. The public is not privy to that information. So how are we getting it? How are people getting the ability to justify? Because it's not just police officers justifying it. Like, I've had conversations with regular people, and that's the same thing that they say. Oh, well, he was this and he was that, or
So
he
was
did
he
this
any
and he
less
did that,
of a
and it's
person?
like
Exactly.
he's still a human being. He's still,
But
that's
not the cops
got
doing that.
murdered.
Immediately, that'll be on Yahoo like that. His whole criminal record will be thrown on Yahoo, and they'll be throwing salt on this poor kid that just got killed. And now the news or the propaganda or the government, whatever you're feeding into, just demonized him, like she just said, Lotus just said. And now you're not looking at him like a human being anymore. He's a thug out there that deserved that he got
And that's
killed.
wrong.
And
Right,
that's what's separating them.
Rod, what were you
What-
gonna say?
what-
And listen, they asked for you to speak into the mic, the listeners.
What do y'all think drives this country? What is the number one thing that drives people in the United
Money.
States? Money. Okay.
economic.
People have to understand that the police department is a business. Okay.
Just like the prison system.
Right. So that
That's
being
product.
said, I'll give you an example. We talk about this information being distributed. If I go do an open records request at Dallas PD, they'll take. I think they have up to 21 days to provide that information to me.
If they don't block it.
Right. If Fox 4 rolls up there and hands them a request, they'll have it within minutes. Okay? But part of the reason I feel like they're putting this stuff out there to demonize these people is to minimize the lawsuit. Because it's coming. No matter if the officer's 100% right or 100% wrong, it's coming. So if you destroy this guy's image, all the people that are possible jurors on this deal think, they said this, 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 and this. And if they don't release that if it doesn't get released during the trial, they already have it in their head.
So you feel like the police departments are doing that?
Well, the
Are
media's
selling
put-
that to the media?
No, they're not selling it. They're putting it out there at the request of the media, but it works for the police department.
But why would the media?
Or for the city, not let's say the police
Why would the media willingly do that?
Because it sells. Yeah.
That's what we're
That's
asking
why.
right now. That's what I'm saying.
So what
Why-
I'm hearing is
So it helps the media
What
and
I'm
it helps
hearing
them.
is like there's a real strategy because you're saying
That sounds like a
the
partnership
media-
to me.
That's what I'm talking about. There's a
Absolutely.
partnership.
Well, they
The-
work together quite a bit on positive
you they
stuff.
do.
Just what Rod's saying is, just think about this: that poor dude in Baton Rouge. If the city hurries up and throws out all his bad info, that's going to save them like $250,000 right off the bat.
Easily.
Because all these cops that are getting off right now for these murders, they're not going to jail, but every one of them will lose civilly. Just like OJ,
Yeah.
he didn't go to jail for the crime; he lost civilly. No matter what, you're going to get money. So the city dishing out that bad salt right off the bat, saving them millions.
And they're not going after the officers. They're going after the city because the city has deep pockets.
And so that's what we're trying to say. A lot of people are trying to throw that back on the cops. We're not doing that. We didn't say the cop already, if he did mess up or he didn't, he killed a guy. Okay? That's bad enough. But why, if I go up there to the downtown Dallas to get the records on you, it takes me 20 days if they allow me to have it, but Fox News gets it in 5 minutes. How's that happening?
I want to say this is not on the topic, but I meant to say this earlier. There was a lady, Nakia Jones, who came out and was speaking against racism in the police force, and she almost got fired, but she really ended up getting suspended from
without pay.
And then the two police officers that did the killing or whatever, they got paid leave, I think. So I think that's another reason, like we say, yeah, the police need to speak up, but I think police know like that there is consequences, just like you were saying, for anybody. There's consequences when you start speaking out against injustice. And so
shouldn't they be willing, if they are willing to put their lives on the line for justice, shouldn't they be willing to speak out against injustice no matter who the
well, I
culprit
think
is?
it's different because that has a lot to do with your family, and that's your breadwinner, that's your money, that's that's how you're surviving at the moment. And I think people are afraid of poverty. People are afraid of those things because if you think about this lady, she actually went back and had, she did a speech about, I guess she was just saying, this is why I said that, and justifying why she said what she said, and it kind of sounded like she was kind of backing up off of, because she was so passionate.
She was very passionate.
And but she didn't expect for the video to go viral. So she was just expressing her feelings, thinking that the people was going to hear it.
Let's talk about that. Rod.
I think I might have said this last show. When you sign on the dotted line to become a police officer, you lose your constitutional rights.
There you
Some
go.
of the things I'm saying right now, I would not dare say if I had been full-time Arlington PD.
That's sad.
Can't do it.
You'll be gone.
Yeah, and especially if you bring any kind of embarrassment to the police department,
Yeah, that's
you're
what
done.
that's what that
You are-
is.
it's
That's
a
the
wrap.
image.
You are done. You are going to face the wrath
And that's-
some kind of way.
You lose your pension. and
But
all
that's
that.
sad.
Let me ask you to this, Rod and Crane. I know I should be calling you Corey, but anyway, my question is, how do you really deal with that? Like knowing that I know they dirty cops. How do you deal with that and still work side by side with
like
these
I said,
individuals?
I'm fortunate enough not to have dealt with that. I don't know any of the guys I worked for at Arlington that did anything crazy that I would have even had to report. Other than, leave a little early, something like that, or take a longer lunch break. That's something that nobody cares about. But actually committing civil rights violations and stuff like that, I never saw it.
Okay,
So
what about
I
you,
can't I
Corey?
can't answer that question.
I have to be honest with you. I've seen. I have to watch my mouth. I call myself. I call them rogue, something cops. That's what I call them. And I have been blessed that I never worked in a department where they were with me. I have seen them now that I own a security company and that I have to call DPD out for assistance on certain properties. I have seen more unprofessional rogue blank cops than I have ever seen in my life. And I'm glad I don't have to work with them.
So if you did with, then what?
We had what they call a pissing match. He told me what he was going to do. I told him what the law was, and he basically told me to go to hell, and he wasn't going to do what I requested. Because now, mind you, he didn't know I was a cop at first. He probably just thought I was some guy that knew the law a lot. But this last instance, it was just horrible. Just didn't want to do their job. And is that the whole police department? No. But I've seen it now outside of it than I have ever inside, internally. Maybe because I had blinders on. I don't know. Maybe because in the brotherhood, you don't want to believe that you got guys working beside you that as soon as they leave or they get in a patrol car, they're looking for every person off color to mess with them. You know, maybe you don't want to believe it. I don't know. But now that I'm outside of it, I see it a lot. I do.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much to be said about the topic. What time is it?
22.
Okay. So we got a few minutes. Okay, we are going to take a very short break, and we're going to come back and give our final thoughts of the evening in just a few minutes. So we'll be right back with you. Back, and this is our final segment of the Blaquer The Berry. I'm Lotus J, and we have all of our hosts here: Queen Solar, Daryl the G, Queen Jet, and we also have two guests that were on last week: Officer Corey Crane and retired officer who don't know the meaning of retire, Rod Hill, are in here with us today, and we are live from High Vibe. So let's get back in here. I want to read a quick. Dang, I really need somebody to go. Can you go to my Marbita Facebook page, please? And now you know the name, Rod.
I knew it.
I just told on myself.
No, I saw it the other day. That's what I was.
Morbida.
We back.
They use
I
it
just
on
had-
nacho.
I mean, dang, y'all gonna say it again? He probably
They use that on
didn't catch
nacho.
it.
Don't do it anymore. Okay. So we're gonna. I want you to read on the last feed. Can you find it? Amin's comment and Radell's comment. So yeah, while she's looking that up, it's just a hot topic, and it's one that we're really not going to be able to solve. All we can do.
I'm sorry. I just remembered what oh my gosh, it just came to me like, right.
Okay, go ahead.
So when we were talking about the MK Ultra thing, you would expect it to be like a Black Power, Black Panther, somebody that's really down with you see what I'm saying? That's out here popping off cops.
It's not
The military?
the military.
That doesn't add up.
Wait. I want you to read it
I
in
can
the.
tell you this. What
in
I
the
believe
mic.
psychologically happened to those cats.
Could have been.
But-
Very well so.
Trust me, you get things are in there. Politics and that are really bad too, man.
Okay. Solar, what you got?
So you want me to read our means?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Radell had a comment behind that.
Okay, so one of our listeners says, this country has been warring on Africans for the past 400 plus years. Enslavement is an act of war. Jim Crow is an act of war. Genocide is an act of war. Mass incarceration is an act of war. Miseducation and false propaganda is an act of war. The question is whether or not blacks are now aware of, fed up with, and or engaging in armed struggle in this conflict. The answer is clearly no. Since all we have is two isolated incidents, is it war when the violence is one-sided, or does it only become war when the oppressed fight back? Oh, and cops are merely pawns in a larger system of racism, white supremacy. They are not acquitting themselves. And then the comment right after that is, it's not a race war. It's a right versus wrong war.
Now, I can agree with that, with the white supremacy, because just if you think about it, if you have a video that clearly shows that a white police officer has killed this black man, he's innocent, you have a whole jury full of white people and two black people, and that cop get off, well, what them white people thinking about? Why they wasn't keeping it G and just being like, well, this person really murdered this person, they need to go to jail. to me, that's white supremacy. To me, that's white privilege. To me, that's racism or prejudice or whatever the case is. I don't know. But if we got to get more black people on there to make sure that justice is served, then that just proves the point.
Okay.
Corey, what's your response to that?
I think what the individual said, there was a lot of stuff on there that I don't agree with, but a lot of
Like
stuff.
what? Like what don't you agree?
I think if it was a he, I don't want to
Yeah,
insult.
it
I think
was.
he did great until he completely ruined his whole statement by putting the white supremacy thing in there. Everything in there was legitimate till then, but I thought everything else he said was pretty real.
Do you think that that's because you're a white person that you can't identify
No,
white supremacy?
I think a lot of times.
Do you think that white supremacy is real?
Yes.
Okay, so
I think it exists.
Okay.
So yes, it would have to be real. But I
Not
think
in that case.
I think a lot of people use that as a default card, just like, oh well, if this doesn't go right and this doesn't go right, we can still use the race card as default and use white supremacy. He did great with articulating his points, and then he completely lost it in the end with white supremacy.
It's always going to be white
white
supremacy.
man.
Do
that
you guys
don't-
want me to lie to you, or do you want me to give you an opinion?
This is your opinion.
I mean, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
It's not factual. It's what I believe.
Yeah.
And I think the person did good until then.
Okay. Okay.
He
And
had some good points. I mean, I don't think his definition of war is accurate, but I mean, that's because I've actually been to war. But
I
it's
think
pretty
we
good.
feel like we've been to war too. It's just different than going to
A
Afghanistan.
different country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We fighting right here.
I understand.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'll
Yes,
tell you
sir.
what I did like about what the gentleman said was that officers are not acquitting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's the public that's doing it. But yet, the public is mad at us when an officer gets off.
It's the white public.
Well, I think that the public is mad when the officer pulls the trigger unnecessarily and murders in the first place.
Right.
And then we're even more angry. It goes from the officer to the judicial system when they can actually get away with that.
I feel like you're getting failed twice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even so much a feel like you're getting. That's the reality
You are.
of what's happening.
And then it's the police who are supposed to be protecting their servant, and it's the justice system that's supposed to be giving justice. So that adds insult to injury.
It does.
I agree 100%.
It
I just
does.
am still looking for that white cop that shot the black individual that was justified. Have y'all ever seen one of those?
I seen.
Solar, there's another comment on there from
White cop
Gabriel
that
What
shot.
happened?
where
I
he
mean,
talked
let me just
about
say this, Crane.
a shooting.
If there was
recently.
ever a people
Very rare.
who's going to be apologetic when black folks see wrong, they just, like when those cops got shot, it was more black people out there saying how wrong it was than
Oh
when
my
the black
God, it
guys
was
got shot.
ridiculous. Sorry.
I'm saying that our people are just,
so forgiving,
Too-
I mean,
so
Yeah.
just,
sympathetic,
I mean,
so
there would,
empathetic
it would
and-
really be hard for us to fight
Fair.
anymore because we just, like,
Oh,
I can't,
not him.
I can't, he was,
But that's my friend.
but,
Those,
so I'm
those
saying
last
that,
those last two men that were in the military didn't feel that way.
That's two out of a
that's
billion.
two out of
That's,
billions of people, though.
that's
bro.
military.
Think about
That's
it.
just like
But-
all of them Africans. Never mind.
Just a
Let me
statistic,
read
right?
this other comment. One of our
Roll back.
one of our viewers also commented, "BS, a white boy just killed an officer in Michigan last week in a courtroom, but the media won't cover that." And a reply to that was, "It was breaking news until they released a pic of the shooter. Then it disappeared from front page."
And that guy
Now,
was
So
there
that
goes
proves-
your
that officer
conspiracy.
that got killed was a friend of mine's father-in-law.
That's
Wow.
now
But
that is a
proves-
conspiracy.
Yeah, that proves what you guys were saying.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
It is 10 minutes to, and that's our time. So, y'all know what we do. We go around and everybody gives their final thoughts. And tonight we're going to start with Queen Jet. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us on the Blaquer The Berry as we address the topic of the black versus the blue. And we are live here at Harvard. Okay, stop it.
I think I hate to use this as an example, but you know, the same way that Europeans from different countries came together and could agree on white, I think we're gonna have to put some of these issues that we have with each other to the side and agree on human and justice, because even within the police system or within the police, they're gonna have to, I mean, I don't know anything about the contract and specifically what the contract says, but sometimes other things are more important than a contract that you sign. And so we have to figure out what we value, and how we are going to go about changing what's going on. And I think it's going to have to be more hitting people in their pockets, whether it's a police station, somebody is funding them. Whoever is funding, whoever the money is coming from, if we are supporting them, we don't need to support them anymore.
Okay. Rod, what you got?
I'll just kind of go back to what I was saying earlier about there's not a contract you sign that's talking about your First Amendment rights. It's just an unwritten rule that you cannot
That's even
say
better.
what you want to when you are a police officer. You have to take into consideration your job, your family. I mean, say, for example, I was to say something about an officer I saw do something, which I haven't. I'm going to stick to that. But if I had, and I said something crazy, not only could I lose my job, but then the officers that I work with
Are going to hate you.
Not necessarily hate me, but say, for example, I need a back, and they decide, he's a snitch, and we're not going to back him. Now I'm jeopardizing my personal safety for doing what's right.
Be bold.
Okay.
Well, you can be dead, too.
Okay.
That's
So
okay.
is it really worth it?
Okay.
We don't know until you die.
Come on now, these final
Let's hope
comments.
that doesn't happen.
Final comments. No comments on the final comments. Come on. G.
I don't think I'm not an optimistic person.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think-
are.
I'm really not, because I know ain't nothing gonna change. I know it's still cops gonna murder black people. What's different now is you got some brothers saying we're gonna shoot back, but as far as I'm concerned, racism is getting worse. No amount of marching can stop that. No amount of no speech can stop it. It's the American way. You're gonna have racists, whether the white people want to agree that they're racist. They're everywhere.
It's a white
They're
supremacy
in
way.
in our lives. They're everywhere we go. The bank, the grocery store, police department. It's just that's what it is. So we can't pretend that it's better or it's going to get better. That's just the way it is. And it's the system. It's the racist system that black people are tired of. It's not a white person. Like, I got white family members. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got people in my family who are white. My ancestors are white.
Mm-hmm.
But this system that's created is not, it's just not for us, and it will never be for us. So we just got to figure out, what do we do now that we know they can kill us and get away with it? They're going to incarcerate us at different, they're going to just, so it's a matter of what can you do as a black person to protect yourself from this system.
Okay.
If it's possible.
Solar, what you got?
I think that we just
Put your hand down so I can see. You're so cute.
I'm just really thinking about everything that's been said tonight, but what I have for right now, I just think that we need to start holding the media responsible for the images that they choose to
That's a good one.
to display to us. I think that maybe that would be one of the, I don't know if that's even such a thing, but one of the first steps into like combating this issue, because America still haven't, it just seems like America hasn't lived down what they've done, 400 years ago, and everybody keeps, bringing it up, and it keeps recycling. And so if America really want to, whatever that pledge, the Pledge of Allegiance and all of these American things that people say, like, America's not living up to that at all. So I think that if we really want to move forward, we definitely have to take control of the media.
Okay. And Corey, what you got?
Basically, I think everybody up here's had a lot of great stuff to say, and I agree with a lot of it. I think what officers need to do is, like I said previously, they need to quit looking at people's backgrounds, where they're from, what they do, and quit automatically judging them and say, that is a Hispanic male, that's a black male, whatever. That is a life that just ended. Whether people want to fight all day, if you don't believe in the judicial system, you don't believe in our government, and Jet brought up a lot of valid stuff. I see a lot of things that I'm thinking, holy cow, there's got to be something bigger than this, because only certain things are getting through the media, and they're feeding just certain things. I think somebody's got an agenda. I'm not smart enough to know who, but I think the first thing that we can do on our level and as an officer is see people for just people and say, golly, another person just died. Another kid just died. Another father just died. Another sister just died. Instead of going, oh, but wait. He was arrested 16 times last year. Or he has 57 traffic violations. Really?
So he deserved it.
He got pulled over 56 times and he's dead today. And it gives me goosebumps because it's sickening to me. I think people need to start looking at each other as humans instead of what their color is. And I think that's the first step to people unifying. And I think cops, if we need to unify with our civilians or our community, we better start learning how to turn off the robot and learn how to see that person for a human first, and then go through what happens next. So that's what I think they need to do to start trying to fix stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody that is here tonight for chiming in on this very important topic again. It is a real topic. It is something that we have to continue to talk about, and the reason is because I'm concerned about our children and our children's children and what is going to happen, because as of right now, it just does not seem like things are getting any better. So clearly, the system is broken. And when things are broke, you have to fix it. And when you fix it, you have to come up with a plan. I am in agreement. It looks like, there are a lot of people here at the table who thinks that there is a bigger agenda. There is a strategy going on that we really don't know about that's being funded. I think that, to be honest with you, the black and the blue are victims of that larger system, because they are pitting one against the other, and lives are being taken on a daily basis. I think that the media has for years, and it's not even the media is not the one who is at the bottom, because somebody else had to approve and okay and give the strategy and put it out there to demonize the black man, so the whole world is afraid of the black man. So when you have an officer who's out there and they get a call and you see somebody and there may be a little irate, I don't know, but immediately images pop into, and it's not even just officers, it's when you pull up next to somebody in a car and they look over at you and you a black person and you can see the reaction on their face. It's when you're in the grocery store and somebody clenches their purse a little tighter because they see that you are a black person. It's when you are followed around in the store when you just shopping like the other white girls in the store. I'm doing the same thing they doing, but you're choosing to follow me when they probably the ones ripping you off blind. Why? Because it goes back to the images that we are being fed of what that looks like. The criminal to the world looks like a black man. That means the monster, the boogeyman is the black man. So if that is what you're being fed, then you are naturally going to respond to that. So I don't do a lot of TV. Matter of fact, I don't do TV at all. And the reason, and my children don't, and the reason is because I refuse to allow the media to plant those images in their heads. It can be innocent watching Law and Order. I used to love Law and Order. That used to be my show, for real, because I just was intrigued by the whole system, and you go from the beginning to the end. But when you step back and you think about it, most of the shows are based on black criminals. And this is what we are being fed, from movies to TV, even commercials, everything, the music that we listen to, and even some of the things that we as black people are responsible for putting out there, which is why we have to be so sensitive to what we allow our spirits and our children to take, our subconscious to take in, because we're responding to what we're taking in. So with all of that being said, we got work to do. And that is one of the goals, and this is not a pitch, this is real talk. That is one of the goals of High Vibe Media, is to bring real conversations to the table and give you a different insight and quality, and not play a part. I refuse to be a part of the demise of my people. So we have to actively and on purpose look at what we're doing, and look at what we're taking, and look at what we are allowing to take place in this world. Shut it down. Shut the system down by not supporting it. And that is the best way to do it, is not support it. So we're lazy. We don't want to sacrifice. We don't want to give up. We're caught in our comfort zones, and we don't want to go with that. We want to be entertained. And so if entertainment looks like, black folks killing each other, well, I want to be entertained. If entertainment looks like the cops against the black folks, I want to be entertained. So you are allowing that garbage to come inside, and you're responding to it. So what I say is, you have to monitor the images that you are allowing into your head, because that's what you're responding to. And that is what the world is responding to. The black man is the devil. The black man is, as far as the world is concerned, and that ain't what I think. Clearly, y'all know me well enough to know that. But that is what we are putting out there. So that is what the world is responding to. That's what the triggers are being pulled, even amongst ourselves. So my thing is that we have to get back to seeing people as humans, and we have to pay attention to the trickery that is going on. And you're responsible for that. Can't nobody make you do that. You're responsible for that. You have a right to reject and hold the media accountable, hold the government accountable. You have a right to. You have a right to. You keep feeding it, you keep paying them, they're gonna keep giving it to you. So that's our take tonight on the Blaquer The Berry. We'll be back with you next week right here live from High Vibe. Catch us next Tuesday from 8 until 10. Oh, and one last announcement. The two cops that you heard tonight, you can hear them on a weekly basis, as they will be launching their own show within the next couple weeks here on High Vibe. So you can hear from a police officer's perspective. It's important conversations, and we got to take it in. Peace, family.